Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to my video tutorial this Christmas season. So today is Boxing Day and I'm so excited to be creating this video. All right, so today we are going to be looking at something cool, and it's going to be a short one because I'm going to try as much as possible to be quick. So today we are going to be looking at how we can automatically generate a launcher icon for our Flutter app for Android, iOS, macOS, web, and all those platforms. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm only going to stick to Android and iOS. Okay, so in case you want to build for macOS, I'll just show you the documentation where you can read through it and see how it's done. It's still the same, it's still similar process with what we are going to do for Android and iOS. Okay, so as you can see on my screen now, I have a launcher icon already that I want to use. I've created an asset folder, okay? But before now, the way I normally create my launcher icons is more like go into Android folder, go to the app directory, go to source, you go to main, inside resource, the map, you will start replacing this IC launcher with your own icon. So it's more like a long process, and the whole process is very long for me, okay? So the reason why I used to use that pattern before was that because I was not really creating for iOS. Okay, I was just focused on Android, so it was a long one. But when I started building for iOS, I tried researching and to find out something that can help me simplify those processes. And here I actually found a package that helps us to make that possible, and it's called a Flutter launcher icon. So if you know it before now and you have not used it, that's what I'm going to show you in this video, how to make use of it. All right, so the first thing I want you guys to do is to make sure you depend on those dependencies, so this package. So you just have to add it into your prospect.yml file. But I think once you run this command, it's going to add it under dependency, but from the documentation it's not the best way. So the way we should do it is to add it inside our dev dependency. All right, so you add it this way. So that's how it's been required to do. You can see, add it inside dev dependency. So once you do that, we are going to quickly copy this Flutter launcher. Okay, so we are going to get this guy. And since I'm not doing for macOS, I'm not doing for Windows, I'm also not doing for web, I'm just going to stop here. All right, you can also copy all of this if you want to generate automatically for all platforms, but that's fine, and we can copy it because it still won't break anything in our application. All right, so I'm just going to get that guy, and you go inside your dev dependency. Mind the indentation, because if you look at this one now, Flutter launcher icon is actually under the dev dependency, but when you're adding this other one that we copied, it shouldn't be under dev dependency. It should be the same line as dev dependency. All right, so mind the indentation so that you won't have any error. And once you put your Android, you put your launcher icon, and the image assets should reference the part of your image. So looking at this guy now, you can see my image is inside a root folder, and I have an asset folder, and then I have download.png, which is the icon I want to use. So for that, I'm going to change this guy to assets/download, all right, .png, just like that. So this minimum SDK Android, you can remove it if you want, depending on the minimum SDK that your app supports. So for you to know your minimum SDK, you can actually go to your app build.gradle file, your app build.gradle file, and you can see minimum SDK version. So normally if I'm deploying, I normally like changing this guy to maybe something like 19 or 21, but for the sake of this tutorial, let's just leave it at 19. So we can actually go forward and change this guy to 19, or if you're not sure, you can just remove it completely. It's still going to work. All right, so but let's just leave it like that. So once you put your asset for the image part that works for Android and iOS, it will automatically generate the images for you. Okay, so we're going to copy with different variation. Okay, so since we want to also do for web, you can also replace this guy too for web. And also if you are building for Windows, you can also replace it. If you're also building for Mac OS, you can go ahead to and replace the icon. So I don't know if this stuff support Linux. Okay, I think it support Linux, so it's just for you to add the Linux flag, generate through, and yeah, you set your own stuff. So that's pretty much it for it. And but before we proceed, remember I added an asset folder here, and I've not referenced it inside my prospect.yml file, which is my configuration file. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove the comment on this guy, then reference the part where it's being stored. So I'll just say assets. Okay, so once you put asset, you don't need to actually reference the file name, just put asset and it's going to work for every file inside there. All right, so that's cool, and we already have our logo. And if you look currently now, I built the app and I run the app on my Android emulator, and if you look at the icon, let's see if you can get the name. I think the name is dummy app. You can see it's actually showing Flutter icon. All right, so if you also minimize the app, you can see it's also showing Flutter icon. Same thing too applies to the iOS app, and if you minimize it, all right, so okay, so I don't know what's going on. All right, so if you minimize it, you can see it's also showing the the Flutter icon, and also here dummy app is still showing the Flutter icon. So let's work on that and change it to our default icon. All right, so let's go ahead, and so this is my configuration file. Looking at their documentation here, they say if you name your configuration file something other than Flutter launcher icon or prospect.yml file, you will need to specify the name of the file when running the package. All right, but in our case, I'm actually sticking to prospect.yml file as my configuration file, so I don't need to change anything. So what I need to do, I'll just have to run this command with the flavor flag. So just copy this guy and come to your dependency, your terminal, sorry. We'll paste this guy, Flutter pub run Flutter launcher icons with the flavors flag, and then we can specify the config file. So in this case, my config file is prospect.yml file. So I'm just going to say prospect.yml file. And also one thing you need to note, if you're adding launcher icon, make sure it has the PNG extension, because I've not tried JPEG, I've not tried any other type of extension. Flutter pub run, and you put the flavor flag and the prospect.yml file, which is like referencing your configuration file. So you run the command, it automatically generates you can see successfully generated launcher icon. Sometimes you might have errors in this stuff, so the only thing that will cause errors when you're running it is when the indentation is not really correct. So you need to make sure it matches what we have here. All right, so you can see successfully generated launcher icons. I don't think if the launcher icons are actually generated for now. So let's see our source main resource mip map. Okay, it has generated them for us. You can see we have launcher icon. So let's run. Then note, if you are not using the existing prospect, okay, we have passed the step. So after setting up the configuration, all that is left to do is to run this package. So once we run this package, everything will be set and will be ready to use it. So go to your terminal and paste this guy, Flutter pub run Flutter launcher icon, and it will generate everything again, creating default icons for Android. Once everything is done, successfully generated launcher icons, and we are cool. So with this now, I'm going to queue my app, so on every platform, the Android and iOS. So what I'm going to do now, quickly, I will try to run the app again on Android and iOS. So if you go to your look at it now, you can see we have launcher icon, and the rest of it. If you also go to your look inside the assets app icon, yeah, you can see them with different variation. Okay, it has been generated already for us. All right, that's cool. So quickly, what we are going to do now is to run this app on, let's run the app on Android first and see what happens. So, and here we have our app. So let me minimize it. You're going to see that the icon is going to change to Android. It's not supposed to, but yeah, it should work normal once we go to this guy. I think it's because we are in debug mode. So you can see the app icon has been changed to what we specified inside our app. Okay, so this is cool. This is pretty much it. So it's showing this guy because it's just Android, and it's no more showing the Flutter logo. But if you deploy your app and then maybe download it from release version and all this stuff, is going to be the main icon that we specified. All right, so now let me quickly test it on iOS and see what happens. So I'm going to quickly run this app, and yeah, switch to iPhone. So bring up this bad boy here. All right, so let's see what happens. Okay, so our app is up and running. So let me minimize this guy to see what comes up. You can see we have our dummy app and the icon has been generated for us, so you don't really need to do much thing. And looking at it here, hold on, it's supposed to show. Okay, yeah, so we have our dummy app icon. You can see the icon, it has replaced the Flutter icon, the Flutter logo that we have before. So it's just cool, simple, and you don't really have to do much thing. Just use the plugin, go through the video, and you see how it works. If you have any complaint, any issue, or you want to experiment on it more, you can just go through the documentation. I'm going to put a link in the description below for us to just go through it and see how it works. Guys, thank you so much for your time, and please do not forget to enjoy the holidays, and Merry Christmas once again.